beautiful friends, and welcome back to Too Smart for This. I am your host, Alexis Barber, and I'm so excited for today's episode. If you're new here, welcome. This is a show for the ambitious material girls, as in the people who want it all, but are trying to figure out what that actually means. And I feel like today's episode is a very specific and large realization about something that has to do a lot with that group of people who identify as ambitious, and I'm excited to talk to you about it. But before that, welcome to the show. Make sure you are following us, subscribe, rate 5 stars, do all those things. It means a lot to me. We are growing the show a lot right now, and I'm really grateful for that. But I really want to make sure that we are doing everything we can. I always forget to tell you guys, subscribe, like, whatever. So here I am. And if you haven't noticed, we have been consistently posting the video version of the podcast over on my YouTube channel, Alexis Barber. So if you prefer watching video podcasts, go check that out there. We're filming this one. This is doubling as I get ready with me because all I can do in my life is manage my time well. And I am getting ready for my first day back to school today. And I figured I would do that while I record this episode because there's so little time in the day. My semester is looking incredibly difficult, and I am just trying to figure out new ways to manage that and still bring you guys amazing content. With that being said, I saw this video on TikTok, and I've been seeing videos similar to it for a little bit now that was basically saying you cannot be pretty, smart, rich, and nice. For me, this kind of immediately rang true, and I don't think that it rang true for me a couple of years ago. But I think it just became I've realized over the course of maybe even since I started this podcast 3 years ago, that I've really started to resonate with that statement that you cannot be everything and still be liked. And then when I was in Europe for Euroski, I went to Austria for 7 days with my Wharton classmates. We went to the Austrian Alps, which was really cool. I've never been to Europe to ski. I've never skied before. So it was a really cool experience, like stretching and everything. I can talk to you guys about it, but I vlogged it on TikTok, so make sure you go check that out. Basically, while I was there, I was like, hold the phone. I'm noticing that this is a thing. I just saw it in different examples, like on TikTok and social and with the people I was around and with myself. And so it really drove me to want to talk about this and to talk about some ways that we can protect our energy. Because when you are someone who's ambitious or when you are someone who has a lot going for them, let me tell you something right now, people don't like that. And I think that I always thought that, well, if you have it all, if you are perfect, no one can hurt you. And I think that a lot of us who grow up in traumatic households, we all believe that if we become perfect or if we get a certain thing, then we can no longer be hurt. What I'm realizing on the other side of that is that once you do get to whatever status you wanted, whatever job you wanted, whatever situation you wanted, even if you find love or whatever, once you are perceived as being successful or a triple threat or you have it all together, and maybe you really do have it all together, people will hate you for it. It's hard when you're coming from this place of like, but I did it all. Like, I worked so hard for all these things. Like, shouldn't I be happy? Like, shouldn't people be happy for me? Shouldn't it all be easy? And it's like, no. Now you've gotten to this place and you got to deal with haters. And you got to deal with people coming for you and people who are going to be questioning your success because they can't fathom that you were able to get there and they weren't. Or they feel guilty or they feel insecure. This goes along with something I've also been seeing a lot on TikTok and something that I talked about in my 2024 ins and outs, which is you can't be friends with insecure people. And what I'm noticing now is that overall, insecure people are unfortunately the majority of people out there. So it is really, really hard when you recognize like that as a whole, you really have to protect your energy. So why does this matter? Why does this all apply to me? How can this apply to you? I'm just gonna tell you the story of my experience with this. So I personally, I know that I have pretty privilege, 100%. I'm not gonna apologize for that. And I know that I'm smart and I'm privileged in lots of other ways. Like, yes, I grew up without a lot of money. And yes, I had situations like my father was in prison, like all these things, like I had issues growing up too. But now I've gotten to a really good place where I built my own business, I built my own brand. I am financially stable. I have an excellent education at some of the best schools in the world. And so I know that like I have a lot going for me. But the reason I have all of that is because it's rooted, obviously you guys have heard this story before, it's rooted in insecurity. I wanted all these things because I was poor and I was scared and I thought that if I got them, I would be happy and successful. And then when I started posting on social media, I'm not going to ever say that I was like the best influencer ever. I'm not going to ever say I never made mistakes on social media. But I noticed that when I did make mistakes or when people did not agree with my content, even if I wasn't doing anything problematic, I would get levels of hate that were focused on saying like I needed to humble myself. And I started to notice that pattern a couple years ago. And it's happened a little bit more since I've gotten to work. Not hate. I've actually not had hate in a very long time. Thank you, Jesus. But also I've noticed in real life, haters. People who they are around me and you can clock it very easily. I'll just give an example. One of my friends, like we were hanging out with a bunch of guys. It was like a couple of us. And one girl who's pretty insecure about guys, she doesn't get a lot of like male attention, looks at one of my other friends who's like really pretty, but like wasn't like trying to get guys in a situation. She didn't care. She was very detached from it all. And she goes, "Oh, I never realized that your boobs are so small." What? What are you talking about? Like, that is insecurity personified. Like, people who will, you're all just having a good time, and then they will make a little comment to try to knock you down, and that's how you know you can't trust those people. So my problem is, I go into a lot of situations, I kind of have gone into every situation in my life, feeling like I'm the person who needs to prove myself. Feeling like I'm the person who doesn't belong there. And also, I am just generally a very like optimistic person, and so I will go around people, or I'm like, I guess optimistic is weird, but like I don't know, I don't like go around looking for the bad in the situation. I complain a lot and I'm negative a lot of the time, but I don't know, like when I meet somebody, I'm not immediately like, oh, they hate me. I'm not the girl who grew up with her mom telling her that everyone was jealous of her. Like that might be you guys, and and I know a lot of people like that, and I'm honestly jealous, and I'll probably raise my kids like that, to be honest. But I want to be very clear in saying, like, I did not grow up with that. I always thought people were not accepting of me. I always thought people hated me and didn't want me around, and I had crippling anxiety growing up that, like, people didn't like me. And so when I'm around people, I want everyone to like me. I want everyone to have a good time. I want everyone to be happy and stuff like that. So what that leads me to do oftentimes, by the way, this foundation I'm using a Westman Atelier. I have destroyed this in like the 2 weeks that I've had it. Westman Atelier stick foundation. This is incredible. You just put it on your face and it's like the best coverage. And you guys know I don't really stray from my NARS, but I got this because I wanted a stick foundation and I wore it every day in Europe and it was so flawless. I looked so good. Tangent. Superficial tip of the day. Anyway, when I meet people, I just want everyone to like me. I want everyone to be happy, and like I just want to like meet people and have fun with them. I'm not like looking for trouble with other people, you know what I'm saying? But what I've started to notice is that simply by being myself, which is all I can do. I've done a really good job of stepping into being myself over the past few years. It's been like my whole journey here. By doing that, I have opened it up to where anybody can enter my space. So I sort of just give a lot to people. I mean, I'm a content creator, so I'm constantly posting. I around people, like I'll meet anybody and I want to hang out. Like I will always sit down for coffee with my classmates and talk to them about things. Like I want to give so much. And I even mean with my content, like I show up a lot and I want to give. And this might be true for you too, where you meet a new friend and you want to really help them with something that you might be really good at, or you meet a new guy and you want to make him the center of your universe, lol. Or you are a big sister and with your siblings, you're always showing up for them 100%. And this doesn't mean that you don't practice self-care. I mean, if you listen to this podcast, I'm sure you practice self-care. I'm sure you know what boundaries are and how to implement them and all that stuff. But this is a subconscious level of a lack of boundaries that I didn't even realize I was doing until this past week. And so I want you to understand it too and maybe look at your life too and be like, hey, am I doing this? You know what I mean? What we do is we meet people, we want them to like us, so we basically show up for them in ways that like we don't really need to be doing. Or we try to be friends with people for reasons that are more affirming to our egos as opposed to whether or not we actually like these people. For the majority of us people pleasers, it's very hard for us to actually discern what we like and who we like because we've been conditioned to get people to like us for so long that we just did what we thought would get us there instead of what we actually wanted to do. So when I'm meeting a lot of different people at school, I notice that most of the time I'm pretty comfortable being myself. But sometimes some people sort of say things to me and I'm like, wait a second, it seems like you don't like me. And I can clock that the reason is not necessarily because like I'm a bad person or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to jive with everybody. Nobody's going to jive with me. But oftentimes it's because they are insecure. So this is where the whole situation comes to. As people pleasers, we've been focused on getting approval from other people. We aren't always very clear about what we actually like and who we actually like. So we're not discerning when we give our energy to people. And that in turn creates situations where we are upset and trying to get people to like us that we don't even like. So I've had this situation a couple of times with meeting girls, and so I feel like I will meet girls, and people have literally said this to me at business school. They've been like, wow, like, seems like you come from money, or I thought you were just really pretty. I didn't think you would have a personality. Okay, like, it's just like, okay, like, meanwhile, my actual background, if you don't know, is I grew up low income. My mom had me when she was 16. I'm just the luckiest girl in the world, and I got out of it because of a series of fortunate events and people who cared about me. And now I'm on my way to being very successful. And I'm very pretty, and I have a lot of self-discipline, and I'm very educated, and people don't like that. They don't like it. And what I've found to be most frustrating about it is I thought, because I was in survival mode when I was trying to get out of all these situations, I thought that it would protect me to be successful and quote unquote perfect. But in reality, it creates a new opportunity for people to tear you down. And that's where I had this realization while I was on this trip that it does not matter how perfect you are because people will always find something. We will always find something. So to orient your life towards being perfect is a waste of time because it will never protect you. To orient your life to being happy is really what you have to do. Otherwise, you will constantly be a slave because you can never impress everybody. With that being said, it's still tough to let go of other people's opinions of you. I felt like there were these people judging me on this trip for being an influencer. Like there were just these little comments that were made and I was like, oh, so you're a hater. Or there were little comments that were made about my business and stuff. And it was like, I felt defensive about it, obviously. And like, that's my thing with self-care stuff is everyone says law of detachment, don't care about what people say about you. We're human beings. We're always going to care what people say about us. And so I was upset that there was these little comments that were made. And then I was like, hold on, why am I upset? It's not necessarily always because like I want to be a people pleaser and I want everyone to think I'm perfect and successful because I'm the first person to tell you I'm not perfect and I'm not as successful as I'd like to be. But what I did notice in this situation was that I had to honor the fact that it hurts when somebody wants to cut down something that you've built with every fiber of your being. I've worked so hard to get to where I am now. So when people do insult it, it's not upsetting to me necessarily because I am, I don't know, like insecure about it or because I like care so much what people think. It's upsetting to me because I built something that took a lot out of me. And so of course it's gonna hurt. Like this is my child. Someone comes up to you and tells you your kid is ugly. It's gonna hurt your feelings, obviously. And then while I was having this recognition and while I was feeling sad about these things, I had a realization. Who are these people? Who are these people? Why do we let people bother us? Like there's something I've noticed that I feel is, and that I've talked about on the podcast before, is that negative comments or negative feedback can't really hurt you unless you believe it's true or unless you care really deeply for some reason about who is saying it to you. And so one, I went through the natural like feelings of like it hurts your feelings when people say like annoying things. And this was not a big deal by any means. By the way, guys, it was really nothing. It just opened up a door for me to be able to give you this information. Once I got through the natural frustration of somebody insulting my business, I started to recognize something that I've been practicing for a couple years now, which is if they don't like me, that's fine. In the words of Onika, in the words of Miss Nicki Minaj, if you don't like me, that's fine. Watch your mouth. But also, at the same time, who are you? if I care a lot about what you're saying, like let's say someone who I really admired insulted my business, that would break me because I really care about them and that's something I want to do. And then I would listen to that, I'd take that feedback and I'd move on. But if I don't really admire you, if you're not doing what I've done, if we don't have the same life goals, if we're not oriented in the same way, why would I care what you think? And that is really something that helps me take a step back and be like, I don't give my energy to you. If I don't respect you, if I don't like need your opinion, if you don't pay my bills, then like I don't care what you have to say about it. And the one thing that I've noticed the most, and one of my favorite quotes, I think I got it from my friend Delara on here. She has a great podcast too called Delara's Diary. Essentially is that the only thing that's, and maybe it was Jules actually, two girls who I love so much. It's me, Jules, or Julia Montgomery, she changed her name. Things are only embarrassing if you are embarrassed. So if you give your energy away because you feel like, oh, I'm so embarrassed by this situation, I'm so embarrassed, or I can't believe I did that, or whatever, that is you giving your energy away. That is you allowing other people to take advantage because you think it's going to be embarrassing. Whereas the people that I like the most in this world are the people who are genuinely themselves. You'll meet people and maybe they are annoying as hell, but at least they're themselves, and not a lot of people can say that. So once you lean into being annoying, or you lean into being yourself, it doesn't matter if it's annoying or not. Probably most of us are annoying because we've all been conditioned to be these little like robots of perfection, and none of us actually are, so we're dying to be ourselves, and anything that's outside of the norm is annoying. But at the end of the day, the people I like the most, I'm not judging because they fit society's standards, or I'm not judging them, or I'm not wanting to be friends with them because they fit a mold. We like and are magnetized towards people who are themselves. And that's why it shouldn't matter who you are, what people are saying about you, because at least you're you. And when you're being yourself, you don't really have a lot of time to be focused on what other people are doing. You know what I'm saying? Like if you are someone who's living in their own purpose, focused on something that gives them purpose, being happy, hanging out with your friends, building connections, making connections with your family, then you're not going to be talking shit about other people. I mean, I'm not saying you don't watch a celebrity gossip thing, but you're not going to be focusing all of your energy on tearing somebody else down. I guess what I really want to say here is a couple of things. The first thing is you have to protect your energy. You cannot just go into situations and think that everybody is going to like you because you're perfect, especially if you come from a place of perfectionism as a survival mechanism. When you get into these situations with people, they might want to tear you down. And the best way to think about this is, one, I'm so sorry that you feel that way because it's usually coming from insecurity. And two, to think a little bit more critically about why you care so much about what this person thinks about you. Don't forget that it's natural for you to be upset when people insult you, but remember that unless this person's paying your bills or you really do respect them, then usually their opinion is irrelevant. If it does bother you more past like the natural human emotion of being like cut down, usually it means there's something deeper within you that you need to work on, and your confidence is something that is a little shaky and needs to be taken care of. I don't know if I want to add on to this because I do have a little thought about the being nice situation. When it comes to the being nice situation, I don't consider myself a nice person. I consider myself a kind person. I am pretty judgmental in a lot of ways. Never in a way that's like gonna hurt people, because my thing is, as long as you're being you and you're standing on business and you're being yourself, I really don't care what you do. Like there's people who, like in my class, like I'm just like, oh, they're so annoying, but like I respect them because they have a personality and they can be themselves. I don't hate you because you dress weird. Or like I might think it's weird, but I respect you because you have your own personality. That's all that matters. So with that being said, on the being nice and pretty front, I don't think you can be nice and pretty, because if someone says something rude to you and you let them get away with it, they're gonna play with you for the rest of time. So for example, like someone made that rude comment to me about my business. It was just a little condescending one, like similar to the, oh, I didn't realize your boobs are so big comment. I was like, what is your, like, whatever. It was like a annoying thing. And I clocked it. I realized it's probably because this person is insecure. Probably because, I don't know, maybe they just don't even like the business. Maybe I'm reading into it too much. Who knows? But I personally, once I heard that, I was like, you're done with me. Until you show me that you do respect me, or until you show me that you do want to be my friend, or that you do care, I am writing you off. And next time you say that, you're done. Obviously, I corrected this person immediately, and I was like, no, this is actually how successful I am, so don't play with me. And that's what you have to do. You cannot be like, oh, haha, yeah, like, no, like, I'm not really that successful. I'm actually not really that pretty. I'm actually not really that cool. Someone insults you, you correct them immediately. Don't be the nice girl in this situation. Nice girls don't get far, okay? If you let people walk all over you, they'll do it again. So immediately, if somebody comes to you, they say something rude, don't play with it. I'm not playing, I don't do that. Like, we can't do that as women. Like, we already have so much working against us that we cannot allow people to walk all over us. On that front as well, you can be nice to people, but you have to be discerning about who you really share things with. This is something I'm not very good at because I'm an oversharer, but a lot of people will take information about you and use it against you. And I love to use like celebrity culture or like influencer culture as an example of this. I mean, like, there's a lot of content creators who will make content about being relatable or being insecure, and then they'll get big or something and people will turn and throw that in their face. So if you are insecure and like, let's say someone says I'm insecure about my body, and then 2 months later their body changes, people will use that to hurt them and to cut them down and to question their abilities because they said it once before. So don't always give up your insecurities. Don't always give up all the information about yourself, because people can use it against you. So make sure that you are being discerning about who you trust. And if someone has ever made a comment that makes you feel uncomfortable, trust your instincts. Because a lot of times, those are the people who you need to watch out for longer term down the line. I feel like I should make a whole episode about trusting your instincts and stuff like that. But with all this being said, I just kind of wanted to like riff on that topic of being a really good and successful and smart person, and how oftentimes that triggers people in ways that you can't control. But since so many of us have wanted that for so long, we thought protection would come from being perfect. Being perfect doesn't protect you. It just kind of opens more doors for people to tear you down. But what building a great life for yourself does do is it gives you confidence. And it gives you the ability to know, I'm that girl, I'm amazing, and that's all you need. And there are great people out there who love you and want to support you. There are people out there who genuinely love and support their friends and their partners and their family members. There are amazing people out there who want to support you and help you grow and bring you up to the top, because they've gotten to that place within themselves that they can care, that they can be there for people. And we've all recognized that community is everything and building people up is everything. So at the end of the day, yes, there will be setbacks that come with building your own success up. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because the happiness, the connection, and the confidence that comes from being your own person and building your own life outweighs any sort of miniature small attack on you, because nobody can hurt you unless you let them. I feel like that was a little all over the place, and if it was, I'm so sorry, but I'm so frantic and overwhelmed right now that there's really not much I can do. This is just sort of what's on my mind. I love you guys more than the world, to be honest, and I'm so grateful for you listening and tuning in every single week. I've got great content coming for you, so stay tuned and wish me luck on my second semester at Wharton. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm going to be vlogging, so love you so much, and don't forget, you're too smart to not love yourself.